Everyone would please be seated. We'll call to order the Utility Committee meeting for September, what is today, the 10th?
Yes, sir.
2019. All members, Madam Secretary, I would like to introduce tonight as new is Tiffany Harp. I don't know if you can see her on camera yonder, is just joining us as our new gal, and we welcome her this evening. Tiffany, all members are here except Mr. Joseph, and I see Mr. Lawless still in the courtroom, or did he leave?
He had something.
Okay, so
he had an
Mr. Lawless is
engagement.
not here as well, but we do have a quorum, and so we'll go ahead. First item on the agenda, if everybody please rise for the invocation to be given tonight by Councilman Dawson, and stay up and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Not the Reverend Dawson. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather together as a group, as a committee. Please help and guide our decisions that they may be with your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, my computer's a little slow loading here this afternoon. Item number 3 is chairs additions. There are no chairs additions this evening, so we'll move right into item 4. It's our public comment period. Anybody wishing to speak for or against an item on tonight's agenda, please fill a card up with Miss Tiffany, with Miss Harp, and she will bring it up here to chair, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak on that item when we get to it. Item number 5 is approval of the minutes from the August 6, 2019 meeting. The chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Dawson to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Item number 6 is our director's report. Mr. William Daniel.
I don't have a lot to talk about on the director's report today. Council members, we're still working on the sewer project and we're still working on the water project. We did hire a new employee, Tiffany. She's here today. She has been training extensively on how to use this system and everything. We have a lot of confidence in her. We're very happy to have her. That really concludes my director's report, unless y'all have any questions.
The world record on length.
I was here a long time last night. You kind of took it out of me.
I was going to say, Mr. Daniel, where were you last night? We're all trying to see the Saints game, but we appreciate your brevity. Any questions for our director?
Nothing right now.
Okay, well, we'll move on then to item number 7. Item number 7 is the proposed ordinance to acquire a commercial sewer system from the Galvez Commons with ACUD number 2. Mr. Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. So about 6 months ago, the owners of Commons noted that with all the construction there that they were wondering if they could tie into our sewer system. Unfortunately, there is no line on that side of the sewer. So we went out and inspected the plant, and they wanted to give it to us, and we were kind of working in that direction. We've actually got some engineering reports being done on how we're going to be able to tie everything in. Well, those owners sold the building, and before they wanted to, for the sale to go through, they wanted to give us that system. If we don't take it now, it'll go to the new owners. They'll give it to somebody else to take care of, and then we'll eventually be in the position when we want to connect it, won't be our system. So I would recommend that we take the system. In your, did you give them the, so in your packet, we actually went out and inspected it 6-8 months ago when we first talked about it, but it's in really good shape. There's a bunch of pictures there showing it. I checked all the DEQ files. There is no issue with DEQ. It is a commercial facility. It has the only even difficult customer, there's a restaurant there, but it has a grease trap. I talked to the guy who was taking care of it. He says as long as those guys pump the grease trap out, the system performs very well. It's a 10,000 gallon a day system. It's only loaded with about 3,500 to 4,000 gallons. There's a sewer servitude running right along, a drainage servitude running right along the side that we can connect into the sewer system eventually. So we have, they've prepared an active donation, and I would urge the council to accept it so that we can have it as part of our sewer system. Be happy to answer any questions. There's also a map in there that kind of gives you an indication of where it is.
Yeah, we're going to start tonight with Councilman Dawson.
So I don't know if you got them or not, William, but I sent you a list of questions. I think
I did.
You answered a couple. You did the physical inspection of the plant. Was there documentation of that?
Well, there's all the pictures
Okay.
all in your packet. We took pictures of everything. We actually did a report 6 or 8 months ago, but I could not find that initial report, so I sent somebody back out there to do it again.
Then you said you did a compliance history with DEQ? Is that?
There is no compliance issues. I went through all the.
That's what I'm asking. You searched for
Yeah, I went
compliance.
through all the files had the AI number, and I went through all the files. There were no, all the
So what about
DMRs.
DHH? Did we look at them?
I did not look at DHH, but they regulate residential, not commercial. So this is a commercial plant, so I don't know that they would, other than the fence around it, that they would have anything to do with it, and the fence is intact.
Well, maybe, if we send it to the full council, we could get at least a look at that before we.
I'll check with DHH to see
Yeah.
if they have any issues. They're going to be thrilled that we'll take anything over.
Currently discharges in what stream,
Muddy Creek?
which goes into Manchac.
Yes, sir.
So did you, let me ask this, we're gonna bring that into our system where is that gonna be treated?
It would be treated at Oak Grove Primary.
Okay,
But I'm not talking about bringing it in right away. I'm talking about bringing it in. We're either going to,
well, that's where my question is.
Yeah.
How long will this be, standalone operated, discharging into that stream?
okay, so, well, it just depends on which way we go. If we do the sewer deal, then 3 years before we hook it up. If we don't do the sewer deal, then we're going to build a sewer treatment plant behind Oak Grove. That'd take about 12 months, and we would treat it there.
So do you know when their, permit with DEQ comes up for renewal?
I think it comes up in about I would say, based on the permit that I looked at last time, it's going to come up in a year or so.
So have you got any idea on, are they gonna be held to, the stricter standards, or are they affected by the impaired stream discharge, or?
Well, if we, with option 1, and we build our own system, then they won't be held to the stricter standards.
Well, I'm talking about 3 years, we'll, just say, let's take the worst case, that we're gonna have to operate it standalone for 3 years.
If it is standalone, then it will be held to the stricter standards, but if it's the worst case, then we're going to put it in the line and treat it behind Oak Grove, which will have filters and advanced treatment system to treat it.
So what does it take to make that connection? How much pipe is that, or is some of that pipe in the ground?
Well, the pipe is already in the ground along 42, completely in the ground. But what we have to do is, we actually have Hartman designing a system to collect the sewer on the other side of Highway 42 right now. They've got it designed, and we actually have money in the bank to do that. There's about $1 million left in the budget for the sewer on Highway 42 that we haven't used.
In the budget or in one of the construction?
Well, in a construction account.
So I'm still a bit concerned about the renewal of the permit and whether that, whether we'll have to eat some of that period where perhaps we're
It's no
having to
different than
spend some
us
money
taking in,
for a year or two of discharge.
it's no different than us taking in a subdivision. And if, if this were being built today, we would take it automatically because that's the ordinance. They would have to give it to us or operate it themselves. So this is just an opportunity to get it with all the customers and their commercial customers. So they're actually more profitable than residential customers to begin with.
So that was one of my questions is, do they just have how many customers do we get with this? One?
Well, no, we get the whole, there's a restaurant, I think there's all kinds of businesses in there. I can't remember how many businesses in there, but it's a big,
Two-story structure.
I can't remember how many square feet it is. It's a big building with quite a few tenants.
But right now, those tenants are paying the operator of this, who is Galvez Seafood, is that correct?
Well, Galvez Commons,
Galvez Commons.
yes, sir. Galvez Seafood is one of the tenants in there.
So these, what'd you say, 5 or 6 commercial customers, and they pay this?
I would say there's more than 5 or 6, but I'm not 100% sure. The restaurant being the biggest one. But I remember there was like a fitness center, and there was some, at one time, there was some doctor's offices in there, and some retail.
Did we get any, we don't know how much the income is off of it?
I do not.
I'd like to have that, what's the income, and then I'd like to have what, the permit, when the DEQ permit, when does it expire? And, I'd
Yeah, I
like to
can-
see what it's
I can get
currently,
all
what
that.
the discharge parameters currently are.
I don't know if I can get what they're charging, but I can go in there and see how many tenants and say what we'd be charging.
That's good enough. That's all, Mr. Chairman, I have for now.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
William, do we not have the capacity in this current system at Oak Grove?
I don't
to manage
think,
this?
I would not think that, right now, I think we're pretty near maximum capacity at Oak Grove. I didn't actually check that because it's, like I said, it's on the wrong side of the road and it's going to be a while to get there anyway. So I didn't check to see whether we had capacity, but I think that we're pretty close to max capacity at Oak Grove. That's a very small system.
So if the permit, or when the permit comes up, would it be held to the newer standards for Man Shack? Because I'm assuming that's where it's going to.
That would depend. If we're building a regional sewer system on the East Bank, then we would not be held to the newer standards. If we're not, then they would be held to the newer standards.
So even if we were to, we got 2 scenarios you put out there. One would be the East Bank system total, and if that doesn't work, then putting in a new system behind the school with more capacity. So
Right.
would that, you think that scenario would run for both of those systems, no matter which one we wind up going with? To where you wouldn't be held to the higher standard?
No, if you're not building a regional sewer system, the new permits say that you have to be building a regional sewer system to avoid the lower permit. I mean, to avoid the higher discharge requirements. So if we don't build a regional sewer system, all of our systems are going to be held to higher discharge limits when the permit's renewed.
What kind of a time frame do you have on this? I mean, what's the status on the sale and all that?
Well, the sale is actually taking place, but the act of donation is still good. So the way this would work is, this is an ordinance, so of course, it would go to the full council, and that would just be where it was be introduced, and then at the next council meeting, we'd vote on it. So it's actually to accept that we have 2 council meetings.
So looking at the pictures, I mean, everything looks to be in pretty decent shape.
It's been a very well-maintained system. It's about 7 years old, I think.
I guess some of the questions that Councilman Dawson have is, could we get that answered between now and?
I'll have that at at the next council meeting, it will just be up for introduction, so I don't know if I even get to speak on it, but when it comes up to final passage, then I'll have all your
You could
questions
just
answered.
send it to us.
Yes, sir. I'll send it to you.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept it and move it to the full council. If we get the information, we can always back out of this, but because of the sale and where we are with it, I'm like Councilman Dawson. I have some concerns with it, but hopefully we can get those answers and see where we are by the time this is brought to the full council for adoption.
Second that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Bill Dawson, to recommend to the full council to go ahead and take this package plant commercial system in. The chair does have some questions, so we're going to open it up to discussion before we vote. Just want to review for the record, Mr. Daniel, I think both of these gentlemen actually asked you, Ascension Parish does have a place currently to put the effluent, and that place would be the Oak Grove primary. But you also said that it's on the wrong side of the road, meaning that eventually, if we want to pipe it, I mean, in the beginning, the package plant's just going to continue to dump the effluent into, I believe you said Muddy Creek, which gets into the man shack, is that?
Eventually, yes, sir.
Right. So we're going to have some expense to pipe it, or,
It's already all, you're right. When we eventually, but that's true of everything on that side of the
right,
road.
I understand, but to be honest, to get it out of Muddy Creek and then to get it into the Oak Grove plant, which is even a stopgap measure as well, if we approve Ascension Sewer LLC, and hopefully we get pipes in the ground connecting 42 to 73 via the air line and so forth, that all is going to go down to the Mississippi River. So it's very preemptive in that regard as well. But I think we can recognize that that's going to be some more piping involved. The income issue, I concur with Councilman Dawson. Definitely want to take a look at some of that. And while we're on that, as far as due diligence on the parish side, he talked about the inspection. I think Mr. Dawson asked you about that, and the inspection you said is evident in the pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, but one of the things I do notice, and maybe this would be milking it too much, is that this plant is 6 or 7 years old. Is that correct?
I think it was built in 2011.
Okay, so it's about 8, maybe going on 9 years old. The fence to me looks in places like there's some dilapidation, and if that's a standard, looks like 6-foot privacy fence with two, boards going across to 4x4 posts. Any chance we can get them to put that fence in better condition before we accept it?
I'm sure they would replace a few of those boards. I did notice that.
Okay. Can't go for the whole fence? Okay, well, we might just talk
It's
to
a
them a little bit.
donation.
Yeah, I understand it's a donation, but, my grandmother used to say, when someone wants to give you something, and she was right for the most part, the only thing you have to say is thank you. But what she meant, God bless her soul, was that if you didn't want it, you could discard it. In this case, we can't do that. So, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but that was another question I'm going to have. On the other hand, well, eventually, somewhere along the line, we hook up and everything, and we're doing the right thing, we're getting the effluent out of the Bayou Manchac or wherever it's going to go before it even gets there. And then also there'll be some revenue generation and all, but that probably, when it really happens and we have a plant in Mississippi, that's going to be out of our hands too. And, but I have a question here about precedent, and is this a good or bad thing? I mean, I've never seen one here as a chairman or even as a member for the last 8 years.
You accept them all the time. They're just on the plats.
Right.
So
Well, I
you
mean,
never
in front of
see
everybody knows we're about to do sewer, so is this going to open like a floodgate, and is that a good or a bad thing?
Oh, listen, I would prefer to take every sewer plan in that anybody would give me.
Because I think I think my committee members would agree, they'd be willing to give them to us too.
Well,
Commercial guys.
I would say,
Maybe not the subdivision guys.
no, not the subdivision guys, the restaurants
Right.
and those, they probably, that's not their business. So,
Correct.
I mean, you build a shopping center, your business is not sewer. But you are forced to be in the sewer business because of the current status of the sewer in the parish. So, most of the time, these are, the reason you don't see many of these is most of the time, there's some private company that takes it. They get it for free, usually, and then they operate it and everything. This was not the case here. These guys own this. They read about the talking about the sewer, and they reached out to me and said, look, if you got the sewer right there in front, we see them building it. It was actually already in the ground, but they didn't understand, and they said, would you like our sewer? We'd like to give it to you. So I said, sure. So we started looking at it and everything, but then they sold it kind of faster than we moved on it, otherwise occupied.
So now, their permit currently at the DEQ, which is in our packet, folks at home can't see that.
That's the original permit.
That's just going to be transferred over to us, essentially?
Yes, it would be
Okay.
transferred.
So
and
we
which
will be
is-
dealing with the DEQ on an individual basis on that particular plant until something changes that we hook it to Oak Grove, or we
Yeah,
actually tie it
we
into a Mississippi River plant, or whatever happens.
well, we would be dealing with the DEQ they would have control of it even after it goes to the Mississippi River. DEQ will always be in control. They're in control of all the
I
discharge.
understand that, but I mean, we're dealing with an individual plant basis with them at that.
So I actually have a letter in here where they reissued the permit October 19th, 2018. So they already have the
That 5-year
the
permit.
new permit.
Yeah, could you answer Mr. Dawson's question? How long is that permit good for?
Normally 3 years.
So we talking about 2021?
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'm not 100% positive,
Okay.
but normally 3 years.
Have we, Mr. Daniel Dunn, another question I have, any testing of the, and I'm going to use the word because I've been corrected before and I know it's incorrect, in quotes, the effluent, or better yet, what's coming out the tailpipe in?
Yeah, I actually
And
pulled the
should we-
DMR, I pulled the DMR reports, the most recent ones, and it was meeting the discharge requirements.
Okay, so we're comfortable with that as well. Okay, let's see, let me look at the rest of my notes here. I think Councilman Dawson has already asked you, and you've answered adequately, at least to my satisfaction. It is under the older DEQ standards, but,
Well, it's actually, I'm not sure.
well, if you're saying it's 2018, it might even be under the new ones, is it?
I don't know when I'll let you know. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to say without knowing for sure.
Well, I'll reiterate, because it was kind of into the motion. We're just a recommending body, and we'll have time between now and then to look at finances a little bit more, a few more things like that issue. Maybe get a few fence boards out of them, or whatever we can possibly do. So I'm going to support this motion tonight, but,
It's either get it now
right.
or get it later, and it'll cost more later.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Johnson, a second by Mr. Dawson, to recommend to the full council to proceed on this matter of taking in this system. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Any objection to the motion on the floor? Hearing none. Motion carries. And my computer hiccuped, but I'm back online. Item number 8, am I still good, gentlemen? Yep. Okay. Item number 8 is an RFP, SCADA support, service and maintenance. Mr. Daniel, you're back up again, sir.
That was my
Ms.
turn.
Jones?
Oh, is it Ms. Shivers? Sorry. They didn't have your name on there. See, they slighted you, John.
What?
Go ahead, dear.
still in the learning process.
There we go.
On August 14, 2009, the Purchasing Department received 2 proposals for SCADA support, service, and maintenance. After review, the Ascension Parish Non-Engineering Selection Committee recommend accepting the highest scoring proposal submitted by ICE Sales and Services, LLC, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this service.
So moved.
Second in a question.
Okay, has been moved by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Dawson. And now we'll entertain questions. Mr. Dawson.
So, Mr. Daniel, can you give me a little more detail on what data you collecting and what is this? This is, Is this the bill reading, is this, or
No,
is this the transmission?
this is the water quality information that we collect at the sewer plant.
So this is instrumentation for
Yes,
the
sir.
plant that actually is on the river?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I want the chair wants the record to show too, since the folks can't see it at home. We've been having a lot of discussion in the last couple of meetings about both professional and non-professional committee rankings and how those procedures may need some looking into. This one's a pretty easy one tonight. There were 4 judges, it looks like. 3 out of the 4 gave substantially higher marks to ICE than the other company. In fact, the distance in sum between ICE and Remont was a total of 25 points over 4 judges. That's 5 or 6 points. Might even be, I actually didn't do this, but such a small sample size may not be worth doing, but likely is statistically real. So I'm comfortable with that selection, Joan, and everything.
Jason said I said sewer plant. If I did, I meant to say water plant.
Yeah, maybe you did, but I understood it as water.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, do you have any questions for
No,
Mr.
sir.
Daniel? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are you getting all that, Ms. Harp? Okay, so I won't repeat the 2 individuals. To go ahead and recommend that we award this to ICE. Any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion carries as well. Item number 9 is our monthly PUA, Parish Utilities of Ascension Revenue and Consumption Report for July. And who'll be giving that this evening? Okay, Jason?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Ms. Harp, in the future, just put their names in parentheses and it'll help an old guy like me do the right thing. Welcome this evening, Jason, and go ahead, sir.
This is the flushing and leak and water loss report. I know it says 3 different items. It's okay, we can tackle it all together?
Why don't we just keep the items separate, yeah, and just call them up and we'll see if there's any issues with this one.
All right.
So this is PUA revenue consumption for July 2019.
I'm not really on the consumption. I can give you the numbers, but I can't give you the financials. We consumed, for PUA, the billing was 20 million, and for ACUD, it was 12 million gallons.
Questions, gentlemen?
I do have some of the financials.
Where do I see this on that report? I'm looking for the numbers
I see
here.
the
20 million's at the very
Totals.
bottom,
I see
the
the-
total.
we don't see anything for ACUD 1. Doesn't look like.
ACUD billed 12 million,
Where is that on the report?
12.9. I don't have that report in front of me. I'm looking off of the water loss report itself.
So we
don't have
didn't have,
that.
we didn't have that.
We don't have that in here.
Is that why you wanted to combine them?
No,
No?
actually, I have to get the financials from,
Okay, the water loss report's item 10 is what is the next one, so.
Right, that's what I was alluding to, so.
I have some of the financials, but I'm not an accountant. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe next time we'll have that in the actual
Yes,
PUA
sir.
revenue and consumption and financials all together.
We're still trying to get, prior to changing over the system, we had really excellent information broken down on the categories. I'm still trying to get that off the new system, and I haven't been able to get it yet. They're working on it. So, but you do the financials in the finance committee, so I haven't been as concerned, but I haven't given up trying to get very detailed numbers because I need them for the running of the plant.
That's off the new ERP, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
I'll make sure that I collect them for the next hearing.
Any further questions, gentlemen? Okay, moving along, item number 10 then is our water audit report for July 2019.
For a month? This is for the month?
Yes, sir.
150,000 total revenue for the month on PUA. I don't know, I would put
think
a
that was
dollar
for the
sign
month.
too somewhere in here.
This is all gallons.
Yeah,
Oh, the revenue is in
No,
gallons?
No, there's no revenue in here. This is all gallons.
He's back at the other report, Jason. He's not up to the to the water use report.
He's looking at the, yeah, Jason, he's looking at the previous
Are you
item number
on a
9
different
report. Yeah,
You
call.
moved and didn't tell me?
Well, it's in the,
This is
if
what
we
it's
reviewed the
looking
film,
Right, right. The
we
middle
called
column
item
is
10, but
revenue.
Yeah, so that's dollars.
But that's
Right,
year,
well-
I'm looking at a different report.
that's year to date though, that 147 though, right?
No, it says July 2019, it looked like a lot. I don't know, is it
Yeah, I would-
150,000 a month?
That's, added up.
Huh?
I'll check. I'm not sure. I did not put this report together, but I'll get it checked next time.
Looks like a lot.
Yeah, I'm wondering that.
I don't know what the rates are either, so it's hard for me to convert it on the fly. Basically, we took in 38 million at the plant.
So you're
We-
on a different report now?
Yeah, he's
Is
on the
that
water.
correct?
He's on the water audit report.
number 10. Item number 10.
We took in 38, we bought almost 5.9 million from Assumption, for a total of 44.7 million. PUA system used 1.5 million in the production of our water, 9 million in leaks, 4 million in flushing, half a million in auto flushing. And all of the uses are listed there in simple English. We went to this because it's a more detailed explanation than the audit you're usually looking at. ACUD had 500,000 gallons in leaks. Another 4.6 million in flushing and manual flushing, auto flushing, 6,000 in sample taps. The fire department used 3,500 gallons in both systems, for a total use to clean and keep our system healthy, 16.7 million in PUA and 1.4 million in ACUD. We're looking for the sale of 26 million. We did 20.3. Meter accuracy taken off at 2.3 million, leaves us at 371,000 gallons unaccounted for.
Gentlemen,
Guess the next report we'll get to the leaks and stuff. We can try to figure.
I don't have the page in front of me, but I thought it was part of your packet.
It is. Yes, the next item on the agenda. So
This has got this has the leaks in it.
well, it's just unaccounted for in this one, but the next report has specific leaks listed. Bill.
I had the report, Mr. Daniels.
probably Jason should let you just do all of them together, huh?
Hey, I was trying. I tried.
Well, the chair apologizes for that because obviously the committee is wiser than I am, and it's been a little more difficult to handle. But we'll just go ahead and throw it on the table. Anybody can look at the next one, and then we'll adjourn.
This is just a
Ask
support
the question.
document for the audit.
And ask the questions now. Okay. So on the table is both items number 10 and 11, the audit report for July as well as the leak report for the same month. So take a look at that and see if we have any more rumination.
And one question for him, Mr. Chairman.
Why don't you just go ahead and Betty, while Bill's thinking, I can see this.
I know, Jason, a couple months ago, we had some issues because of the river level and all that, not being able to get to some of these leaks. So have we been able to get to those leaks that we weren't able to before?
The ones that we could, yes, we have. The distribution crew is 2 men down right now, so they're a little slower than normal.
But as far as have any leaks, I mean, the river's down, so we shouldn't have any leaks we don't have access to. We just got to get the guys
Yes, sir.
time to get to them. Okay. Any substantial leaks that we
The
have
one
out
on
there?
ECUD side has been bothering me for a good while, but there's multiple complications with that one because of where it's located. Not sure quite where it's leaking, and grass was about 6 feet tall because of the water that was also intruding from the river. So they got the grass cut down and they're looking for the leak now. But most of the guys in distribution are out reading meters right now because the meters were read between the 1st and the 17th, I believe.
So the losses that you were unaccounted for in the previous report with this one, are they pretty close?
They're not,
Estimates?
we've completed next month's report already, and the leaks are down to under 3 million, right at 3 million, I'm sorry. Compared to the 9 this month.
We're interviewing 2 temporary employees. We don't expect the other 2 employees back anytime soon. In fact, one probably never. So we're interviewing 2 temporary employees. Because we're going to have a new meter system, we're not hiring permanent employees. So we're interviewing for temporary employees to help us.
So Jason, this is usually what Oliver Joseph does in the committee, but since he's not here tonight, he knows a lot more about the streets and leaks and things. Looks like that leak on Highway 1 South, in the 3200 block went on, if 14, what does it say in here? 1,440 minutes equals a day.
Yes, sir.
That went on for 20-something days, it looks like. If my math is correct. I don't know. I have to rely on Bill Dawson to do all the fuzzy math for me. That's a long time.
Yes, sir. I don't know, that doesn't seem like one that falls in that 1,500 foot area that we couldn't dig. I don't know, I'm not familiar with that leak, but we'll stay on top of it. I'm not sure if it's been repaired.
And remind this committee, how is I mean, we're not relying totally on people just to call in and say there's water everywhere.
I mean, the system, the work order system is in place and taking all of the, cataloging all of the leaks. If they stop and see a leak, if they see a leak and stop and they'll investigate it, but mostly, yes, they're called in.
It's demand-driven. People report a leak, and
Yeah.
we go check it out.
I'm just curious how the fancy system we have now, it's parish-wide, which I'm sure covers over here as well. Are people calling in on that system and y'all get notifications, or?
Yes, sir.
Or is
I
it
mean,
just local
they'll
people that live
report.
and, where the leaks are that are calling in?
They'll report, and then the front office, the billing office calls distribution crew and logs a complaint.
And a lot of these leaks, I think you used the word, you have to dig them in order to find out
Yes, sir.
what's going on. Okay.
Where the
Gentlemen?
water's coming up is not necessarily where the leak is.
Yeah, well, it's bubbling out of the ground. Too bad it's not a black crude. We'd be in great shape, huh?
Yeah, and sometimes when they repair a pipe, because of its age and condition, it'll break 6 feet down the line.
Okay, gentlemen?
I have some questions.
Mr. Dawson?
I see we're still buying from Assumption.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? What's the schedule on that? I don't know why I was thinking we'd be done with that by
I
now.
spoke with the engineers 2 weeks ago, and we were identifying spots to tie in. And their model was, we have only so many hours on their model, and their model was predicting if those tie-ins were going to be sufficient. Last time I heard was a year.
So the engineering is not supposed to be done until, we got an extension actually till January because of the intake issues that we're having. So we don't actually have to have everything done until January. But Gavin would come up, he met with LDH, and he actually kind of got a nice opportunity for us. Gavin, you want to explain the tying 2 systems together?
Sure. Good evening, committee. Yeah, I met with LDH, and they have a program that they're rolling out where they're set aside some of their free money in order to tie in systems. We have, the stipulations are it has to be an area in need, and it has to be an existing system, which ties in PUA and ACUD1, where we could maybe use some, we're looking at options to use some of that money to tie those 2 systems together. And,
And so that'll get rid of the buying from assumption once we hook that.
I
This
think-
is a chance to leverage the USDA money with some money from LDH. We were going to tie the systems in anyway, but now if we can get some money from LDH to tie, to actually make the tie-in and work our way back, then we can use some of the additional money for more distribution in PUA.
So what is that? DEQ? I'm sorry, DHH? Is that who
Public
the
Health.
grants are from?
Yes,
It's a grant.
LDH.
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 They changed it.
Yeah.
Used to be DHH, now it's LDH.
I'll never get that straight.
Neither will the chair, but that's a whole nother story. More questions, gentlemen?
Thank you.
Okay,
done.
we're
So
moving.
That is a grant?
Yes.
Yes, it's completely free. There's no match or anything like that. It's, right now, I think their annuals, and it's somewhere around 4.3 million a year, but that's for everybody. It's not specific to our parish.
But they haven't given away any.
Yeah, they haven't given it away.
What's the time frame on that again?
They said 10 to 12 months sooner if you have projects kind of set up.
So we already met with the engineers and we're working on a proposal to give to LDH
Okay.
for tying in.
Perfect.
So we're moving to Mr. Daniels and Doc's favorite part of the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
move.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Dawson, second by Mr. Johnson. Ms. Harp, that we adjourn. This committee is adjourned.